And God said, "Let there be
The
light."
Lord says, "Let my people go."
I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me.
This is the Talkin' Bible podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Bible with me, Rohan Bell, and for the very first time, sitting down today and for this week with Timothy Mulford. Hello, Tim.
Hi.
It's good to have you. Tim, you have been, we've known each other for about seven years ago since we went to Israel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pull your microphone a little bit closer, Tim.
Yep.
We can hear you a bit better.
Better?
Yeah, that's better.
Cool.
So 7 years ago, you came to Israel with me.
Yes.
And then we disappeared off each other's radar for a while. And then you guys just came to church at the end of last year and have joined us.
Yeah.
And over behind, out of view, is Tim's wife, who won't get mentioned because she's quite happy not to be mentioned, but she is in the room. So,
Yes.
So if Tim's looking around or getting distracted, it's probably because his wife's pulling faces at him or something.
She loves it.
She loves the attention. That's why I didn't even mention your name. Yeah. All right, over to you, Tim. So we are this week. We're going to be talking about a bit of introduction. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell everyone a bit about yourself.
Okay, I always hate these parts because I don't know what to say.
Okay,
but I've grown up in Campbelltown. We live in Spring Farm at the moment.
Yep.
Went to Israel in 2018, I think.
It was 2018. Yeah, 7 years ago.
2018.
2018. That's right. Yeah.
So that was a really good experience. Had some fun.
I have video footage of Tim and his friend Nathan running around the Colosseum at Caesarea, doing a running race up the Colosseum where all the chariots would have run. I remember that. I've still got that footage somewhere.
I still remember all the things that happened, like the Colosseum thing. I remember one of my favorite things was I knew I was going to lose because Nathan's really, really athletic, and I thought, well, 3-2, I'm off. And
that's right. You ran early, didn't you? I do remember that. Took off early.
Yeah, he was so upset about that. But I'm like, you won. Give me something.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I do remember that you were on a quest, like a medieval quest to find pomegranate, were you?
Yeah. I was a bit picky about them.
Right,
But
okay.
every time I saw one, I was like, needs to be perfect. But then Western mentality,
Yeah.
But I do remember the last week. Oh, no, the last day.
The last day, on the day at Java, before we caught the plane, you found pomegranate juice.
Yes.
Is that right?
So
I remember this.
I think there was a plan afoot, which I
And
wasn't
for our
aware
listeners
of.
who don't know, pomegranates are supposed to be all over Israel. They're all over the Bible. It's like figs and pomegranates are the two main fruits, supposedly. And yet Tim couldn't find any that suited him.
Yeah, so I was fussy. I know that. But I was just thinking, I would really love to. It would make my trip complete, but, I don't think I'll get it. And then next minute, I find out Trisha's got a plot to everyone to go find a pomegranate.
At the markets or something, wasn't it?
At the markets,
Yep.
yeah. And so I'm thinking, I'm going to go home without a pomegranate. I can live with that. And then we get in the car and everyone's giving me like 9 pomegranates going, here, have this, have this. I'm like, we're getting on the plane in an hour. How can I eat this?
You had some pomegranate juice or something too, didn't you? Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what started it because I went to the place. I'm like, this will be the best I get. And they did it. I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. And then, the best part was the airport.
Yeah.
So when we got to the airport, I thought, I can't eat 9 of them. I'm going to have to ditch some. But I remember, I think it was Matt. We're in the airport and we had a pomegranate and I'm like, okay, let's open it up. And he pulled out a knife in the airport. I'm thinking, oh, what are you doing? This is the worst possible
Tel Aviv
place.
airport of all places. Oh dear.
And I'm thinking, I hope no one sees this. And I'm looking around everywhere, and to my horror, I look directly across, and I see this
Security
person
guard
looking at me, and I'm like, oh no! And because he's hiding it, it's red juice
Dear.
dripping down.
I can't believe I've never heard this story. So there's red juice just dripping out of this thing in Tel Aviv airport.
I'm looking at this lady. I'm going, oh no, security! What's going to happen? And she walks up to us with paper towel and smiles and goes, would you like it to clean up? I'm like, yes, please.
Oh, no.
So
I would not recommend pulling a knife out in Tel Aviv airport.
But yeah, no,
it worked.
It worked. But
there you go. So you got to enjoy your pomegranates.
I did eventually.
Another thing about you is you really are a student of the Bible. You love, I've noticed that of you, the more I've gotten to know you, how much you love reading the Bible and learning about the Bible. And that's one of the reasons I thought, I'm going to get Tim on the podcast because he'll ask some really good questions. He'll have some really thoughtful insight, either from yourself or that your wife's told you to ask. So it could be either. So, but you always ask really good questions. You always have really good insight. So, so why don't we kick it off? We're talking about the parable of the farmer scattering seed today. So where would you like to take us?
So we actually had a conversation in the car about this.
You did? Okay.
This was really cool. So Steph was saying, So I remember.
See, that wasn't me, Steph.
Oh, sorry.
That was your husband gave you away. Yep.
Yeah, we were just talking, and she's like, "Look, read it to me." So we read the passage, and then she picked up some good thoughts.
Good.
So she was saying, because I remember we were in a Bible study a while ago, and we picked up on the theme of wheat, and I think some scriptures say tares.
Yes, tares. Yep.
And someone was like, "Well, how would you know the difference between the two?" And someone was saying apparently when they grow very similar. It's very hard to see whether it's a wheat
Correct.
stalk or a tare stalk.
Yep.
The only way is when it fruits.
That's right,
you
when
know.
it fruits, exactly. Other than that, it just looks the same.
Yeah.
So our versions will say the parable of the wheat and the weeds or whatever, but yes, it's a particular type of weed that actually looks like wheat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was triple checking it before I come, and then Steph was like, "Well, does that mean that we shouldn't separate ourselves from non-believers? Should we
Ooh, that's a
be
good
there?
question.
Should we be among them, but not a part of them?" And as the
That's a thoughtful
conversation
question. Yeah.
come along, I thought it was brilliant. Steph was like, "Well, plants don't exactly grow like straight down. They spread out, they do underneath. And if a weed root goes over a wheat root, the wheat doesn't change to a weed."
No, that's right. Yeah.
And so she was saying that the interesting thing was that we can be among, I guess, non-believers, and sometimes like we get that, oh, is it right? Is it not right? What's going on? But she was saying it's interesting to note that the wheat doesn't change what it is.
No, that's right.
Even though it's
it's among the weeds.
Yeah.
And God seems okay with the wheat and the weeds. It's the farmer, the Lord in this story, seems totally okay with the wheat and the weeds existing together until the harvest, he says.
Yeah.
And then separate out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good thought.
And just to add to that, another good thought was that you don't know I guess we're looking at the people of, God and the people of the enemy in the passage. And it was saying once it fruited, that's when you knew who was who.
Very good.
So we were talking about the possibility of it's really hard to say someone is 100% a Christian or is not.
That's very good. I think that's very important.
Really struggle. There might be someone who goes, "Oh, look, I give to charity, I do this, and then they have some bad characteristics. And then there's someone who has really bad, horrible characteristics, but they may have a heart after the Lord."
Yeah.
So I guess like we were talking about the whole, no one's going to really know until the end.
Yep.
That's when the fruit's going to show.
Yeah, that's right. That's what will happen. I think the principle that the farmer is trying to make in this story is exactly that you can't. You first of all, you shouldn't separate yourself out and end up in some kind of judgmental, critical, cynical way towards those who quote are tares, because we don't really know.
Yeah.
That's the judgment of the Lord that is important there. But also, as you say, this thing is that fruit will come to pass eventually.
Yeah.
So I remember hearing John Bevere preach on this at Presence Conference years ago. He said, "Oh, we make a big deal about the Lord sees my heart," and if you read the New Testament, that's not really the prevailing message of the New Testament. The New Testament, time and time again, whether it's James or John or whatever, or Jesus himself, is by your fruit you will recognize them.
Yeah.
So there is a sense in which you can really tell what's going on inside someone's heart eventually by fruit. But to pick up the point you made, which is really interesting, is that you can have people who are very generous and beneficial, but their reasons for doing it are still flawed. And none of us are perfect anyway. Let's face it. We all have flawed. Everything we try to do, to any of us that thinks our motives are 100% pure is kidding ourselves, because we have a fallen nature. But hopefully as we mature and become more like Christ, we get less of ourselves and more of the Holy Spirit in us and the fruit of the Spirit. But we will all eventually produce fruit. It's an old cliche, but it's true. It says you can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. Based around John 3:16. I'm actually going to be talking about that here at Illawarra on Sunday morning. But you can give without loving. So it is possible to look fruitful for a time without having true love in your heart. But I think the opposite is that if you truly have love in your heart, eventually that will come out in fruitfulness. Now, none of us will be perfect, and we'll always. The fact is, we are going to produce some things that aren't good fruit.
Yeah.
But the closer we stay to Jesus, the more we stay connected to him, eventually the prevailing thing in our lives will be fruitfulness, good fruitfulness. And eventually, and we see this sadly, don't we, with so many Christian leaders, eventually the bad fruit overtakes the good fruit.
Yeah.
And that's sad, but probably we've made the wrong things the emphasis.
Yeah.
other than just looking for genuine fruitfulness and faithfulness
Yeah.
in people. And I love this because the point that Steph was making that was really good here is that this seems to be advocating for the fact that we are going to live in a world with tares and wheat together.
Yeah.
Did you pick up on that? No, you said, so what does that look like for you in terms of living your life when you know that you're going to be in among the tares? What does that look like?
Well, I think one thing, I was speaking with my sister as well. For me, it's been hard because she was reminding me, because not everyone lives in what we would call the ideal family.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's got, some...
We all bring our baggage with us.
Yeah.
Yep, of course we do.
And I think for me, it's been hard sometimes to look, coming from a family where you had two parents, sibling. Yeah, okay, my parents aren't together anymore.
Yep.
But you kind of get blinders on it.
Sure.
And you kind of say every family should be like this, and then going, well...
And then we somehow criticize others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then learning to go, okay, well, that's probably how it should be, but it's not how it is because we live in a broken world.
Yeah.
So like with living it out, I guess I think someone said to me once, you can't catch sin. We're all sinful, but just because someone struggles with a sin doesn't mean that you will be that person if you hang out with them. But we were discussing about wisdom in it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're to isolate yourself from a non-Christian and just only have Christians in your life, you're not going to be able to fulfill the Great Commission.
Good word. Yep.
But if you're in the midst of it and there's a lot of non-Christians you're mixing with, there's, I guess, wisdom that needs to be applied, because
Very good.
like I was talking with Steph and I said to her, like, for instance, say I had a friend, or there was a person who was in a club, they lived in a club, they always got high, they slept around, they did the worst possible things, and then they got radically saved. Now, for the first couple of months or so, their friends might go, oh, you're one of those religious people, and really give it to them.
Yep.
And obviously it's going to be hard because they're new, but eventually that change that they see in the
That
person,
fruit.
the fruit, they're going to be like, who is this person?
Yes.
They're a completely brand new person.
Yeah.
They'll probably even long for that and go, oh, I want that.
Even if they continue to ridicule, usually there's a longing involved in it because they see a peace and a lifestyle that is appealing.
Yeah, they probably see even freedom in it.
Yes,
too.
that's right. Yeah, totally.
But in those times, I would assume, like, if they said, look, this is going to not last, just come back and come clubbing with us, maybe their response could be, no, I'm a different person now, but if you want to hang out, have coffee, or if you want to come to the house,
find a different way.
Find a different way, yeah.
So, good point. Yeah.
Wisdom and
I love the wisdom component of it, because this is what you're hitting on here is a really important pastoral issue for all of us, and it plays out in everyday life, because I've met Christians who in an effort to somehow avoid being quote unquote tainted by the world, they completely withdraw themselves from the world. And what that often leads to is actually self-righteousness.
Yeah.
It actually leads to I'm a better than you person.
Yeah.
And looking down on other people. And Colossians actually says this. It says, why do you submit to the ways of the world? Do not touch, do not taste, do not handle. I don't go there, I don't look at this, I don't do that. He says those things actually, what they do is, Paul says, they actually have no power to submit the flesh, to subdue the flesh, because we move into this self-righteous mode where we start looking at everybody who's doing the things that we think they shouldn't be doing, and we think we're better than them, which Paul would say, actually, you're just fostering the sin of pride right there by that attitude. So you get those that completely withdraw themselves. But then we understand, don't we, that we're supposed to be in the world and not of the world. And if we, like you said, if we completely withdraw ourselves and don't interact with our friends, how are we going to shine the light? Jesus says, let your light shine before men that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. So how are we going to be able to do that? We're going to have to be among them. And yet Proverbs, which is where the wisdom comes in, Proverbs says bad company corrupts good character. Yeah. So that's the tension. What does that look like? And I love what you said. Sometimes for a period of time, you might need to just try to withdraw yourself from the weeds a little bit. Yeah. As long as you understand that's more for your own protection and wisdom. But ultimately, God wants you to get back out and live your life among the weeds so that you can convert some weeds into some tares into wheat. And that is a lifelong lesson of coming in and going out. And my advice after many years of pastoral wisdom on this has always been, it's more to do with probably the amount of time you spend. Just as this is once again, it's a generalization. But if a person is spending 90% of their time among the weeds and they're not prioritizing hanging out with the wheat, then eventually they're probably running on shaky ground, where eventually that somewhere along the line, unless they've got an iron cast relationship with the Lord, somewhere they're testing fate a little bit. and they're going to be corrupted.
Yeah.
But if they can make sure that they maintain a good, healthy relationship with Jesus and with his church, and they attend regularly and go to connect groups and do those kind of things, then they're in a more solid place so that when they're out among the weeds in the workplace and in the neighborhoods and in their families, they're able to maintain a good mix of integrity, but not in a self-righteous way, just that whole, the way that's attractive to people. Yeah. And you're never going to be attractive to everyone. The Apostle Paul says to one we are the aroma of life, and to another we're the stench of death.
Yeah.
There's something about living the Christian life that will appeal to certain people who are ripe, but to others it just looks like death. But we've got to be okay with that. We can't please everybody.
Well, Paul's a great example because
Totally.
I think of, I think he was in Athens.
Yep.
When he saw the statue to the unknown God, or the altar, and he used what they knew to point them to Jesus.
That's right.
A good example, like I've seen in modern day, is so I work at a school, Regents Park Christian.
Yep.
And one of the teachers, who's the head of Christian Discovery, the whole Minecraft thing that's going around and everyone's crazy about it. So she's really brilliant like this. She used Minecraft education, and she'd say, okay, well, I want you to go and I want you to build a world, but I want you to build the tabernacle and get into that and like show me what you think it would look like and really build that, own it, and the kids get into it. Yeah. They're like, oh, look at that. And she's like, what about the glory? Yeah. What's the glory look like? And then they're going, oh, I want to do that and that. And I thought, like, it's one of those things where you got to kind of look at what culture is trending at, but not compromise, but
not compromise, but use it as a tool
to teach.
Yeah.
And the kids get into it.
And not all culture is bad.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's a lot of culture is just amoral. It is what it is. And it's what we do with it. I love that thought. Yeah. So one, you're using it as an educational tool. It's not trying to buck against the system because the kids are just going to go and do Minecraft anyway. So it's finding a way to use it to redeem it. Basically, it's redemptive. I love that thought. And I think that's really important in life. And that's where the Old Testament Pharisees and priests got it wrong. They had the mentality of they couldn't touch something. Yeah, it was unclean. Like the story of the parable of the Good Samaritan, the priest and the Levite went the other side of the road. Now they were actually obeying their understanding of the law because they thought if they touch this man who's probably dead, they'll become ceremonially, religiously unclean. But Jesus upends that whole thing, which is back to where we started with this whole parable of the wheat and tares. He upends it and he says, actually, he had this sense that he could reach out and hold and hug a leper. Yeah. And the leper's quote unquote uncleanliness wouldn't get on him, but his godliness would get on them. And that's why I think it's so attractive to live a life that is in the world, is out there among people, shining a light and trusting that God will, in his time, will separate the wheat and the tares. That's not our job.
Yeah. Our job is to love them, essentially. I think that scripture where it says, they will know you by your love.
Yep.
Because I think I'm starting to realize it now where I've had the closed off, no, this is evil, don't touch it, and these people thing, and then kind of realizing, hey, that's my own bias and judgment.
Yeah, great.
And that God never says to me, I want you to say this is morally right or morally wrong. Yep. It's just focus on him.
Yep.
And then that wisdom of learning, because no one knows how to do it. You've got to kind of get your hands dirty and do it. So learning that wisdom of, okay, well, I made a mistake that time. Mm-hmm. I'm going to try it different this time.
So good.
And get the middle ground.
And the fact that Jesus lets us do that, lets us learn on the job, it's so good because it is messy. Finding the link between grace and truth is messy. Jesus, it says, was full of grace and truth. Yeah. We tend to either focus on one or the other. We get too soppy in our grace and we let everything go through, or we get too focused on truth and we become ungracious. And it's very hard to get right because every situation is different. Oh, it's not even different. It's not even just you got two friends who are both in immoral relationships. Yeah. But the way you interact with them might have to be different based on where they're at. Yeah. You can't just have a carte blanche approach. It might work for someone to say, hey, mate, you got to quit that. It's not healthy. You're letting your wife down, da-da-da. But another person, it might just completely fall on deaf ears. Yeah. Doesn't mean you shouldn't say it. May or may not be, you shouldn't say it, but there may be a better way because there might be some underlying brokenness in that guy's life that is affecting him. So it takes wisdom, which is what you said. And it'll also reveal your heart. Totally. I know many times I've sat there and been like wrestling with it in my heart, and then all of a sudden I'm getting to the peak point where I'm like, oh, and then all of a sudden you just remember, hey,
who are you?
Yeah, that's so
What have
good.
you done? And you're like,
Good sign of maturity.
okay. It's a good correction. It's like if you're judging someone, it's a mirror to your heart.
Yeah, totally. And
So-
we have often found that some of the hardest people, I've discovered in my own life as well, the longer we are around the church and the longer we're around church people, the more, no, it's not that it's bad. We just need to make sure that we're constantly in our church feeding a culture of acceptance and love.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to look down and judge and criticize others.
Yeah.
And it's not going to, one, it's not our job. That's up to the Lord. Doesn't mean we shouldn't speak truth, but Paul says to Timothy, speak the truth in love.
Yeah.
I found most Christians love to speak the truth. There's a difference. Loving to speak the truth is not the same as speaking the truth in love. So it's not that we should water it down. We want to find a way to bring truth to people because we believe that Christ's kingdom is ultimate true freedom, but we've got to find a way to do that lovingly.
Yeah.
And it usually involves a lot more grace and a lot more patience and a lot more willing to get potentially stained by the world than we would potentially like.
Yeah. And that's going to, I guess that will also show you, it would really show the true fruits of a person too.
Absolutely.
So if you're wanting to isolate, is that showing that you have God's heart to reach the lost? But at the same time, if you're always out there, is it showing the fruit of wisdom and all these things? So yeah, it's one I think that challenges me the most is I know I've got to get out there more, but at the same time, where's the middle ground? But I think it's good to remember grace in it too, because like you said, like humanity's either one extreme or the other extreme.
Yep.
But grace
life is
kinda
not like
helps.
that. Totally. Exactly. We tend to go to one extreme or the other, but life is lived in nuance. There's so much nuance in life. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what this story tells, is that these two are, these wheat and these tares are growing together, but ultimately it's up to the Lord when the time comes. He will sort out right and wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. That's not our job.
Yeah. I mean, like he says he will do, like he'll get the angels to separate and weed things out, and then that'll be destroyed, and that's his righteous judgment.
Yes.
It doesn't say, oh, then my servants, my people will go and, no, it just says I'll gather my people.
Yep.
My angels will go and
So
do the
good.
rest, and then that will be the judgment essentially.
So good. Isn't it interesting, because we have come to this, somehow along we've bought into this thought that it's our responsibility to judge the world.
Yeah.
One of my favourite passages in the New Testament lines is 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 5. It says, it's not our right to judge those outside the church. It's our job to judge those inside the church.
Yeah.
In other words, when people have signed up to live a certain way,
Yeah.
that's when we call them to account. Hey, Tim, you signed up as a Christian to live in community with other brothers and sisters. The way you're treating your wife, it's not appropriate. I'm just hypothetically.
Yeah.
Let's help you with that. That's good judgment, because that's discipleship. We should all be open to that.
Yeah.
But it's not my right to judge those who haven't signed up to live by my standard.
Because they don't know, I think it's Jonah, they don't know the left hand from the right.
From the right hand,
They're
yep.
not going to, if you say to them, you're living an immoral lifestyle,
Yep.
they're going to say, well, I think I was reading earlier in one of the Matthew chapters, it says, don't cast your pearls to pigs.
Yep.
He was talking about judgment. It was kind of like, careful who you correct, because they will trample you.
They'll trample you.
So, if you're going to say to a non-Christian, hey, swearing's wrong, they might have an awareness going, oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But if you say something like, oh, you're a thief, you're a drunkard, you're whatever, they're going to come back naturally. They don't have the Holy Spirit to say, hey, respond in love. They're just going to do what they know is right.
Yep, that's right. It's finding the right way to bring God's truth into a situation, because I think what we do sometimes is we think our job is to bring the truth and speak the truth, whereas our job is to win as many as we can.
Yeah.
So our goal needs to be not just speaking truth for truth's sake, but what is the best and most effective way where I speak truth to the situation that I could win that person, or I could prevent that person from harming others, because that's important too. Speak up for those who cannot speak up for themselves, Proverbs 31 says. So that sometimes you do need to be strong, but you're doing it for the purpose of others, not because somehow my own sensitivities are affected by the way people are speaking or treating. I mean, we just got to get over that.
Yeah.
And Jesus hung out with tax collectors and prostitutes. Don't tell me there wasn't bad language in his room.
Yeah.
He found a way to get over that,
Yeah.
because he was focused on seeking and saving the lost.
He focused on their need, not on their sin. Well,
To-
he did know their sin was there,
But he
focused on their
the
need
deed
for
of
salvation.
That's correct, yeah.
It's the gospel, essentially.
Yeah. It's not the healthy who need a doctor, he said, in that very situation. It's,
Yeah.
I've come to call sinners, not the sick, not the righteous. So he knew his mission was to do everything he could to reach people where they were at. And I think, and then hopefully some more tares turn to wheat, at that point. Yeah.
That's a miracle in itself.
That's the miracle.
The tares don't become weeds, but the weeds become tares.
That's the supernatural power of God that he does that. So good. Is there anything else in that passage you want to pull out?
No.
Oh, that's a great conversation. All right, we'll leave it at that one, and we'll talk to you on tomorrow's episode. See you, everyone.